the biographical inquiry, I created 2 prompts which I inserted into both Cite and Perplexity. The first one was, what historical and literary records exist about Anne Webster, blind female poet, born 1797 in Grimsby, England? The first one that I want to draw attention to is Perplexity. Right off the bat, it says, I apologize, but I do not have reliable information about Anne Webster. So I appreciate the fact that it up front says, this information is lost on us. Here on Cite, I'm told that the historical and literary records concerning Anne Webster, a blind female poet born in 1797 in Grimsby, England, are sparse and require careful examination of available literature and historical context. Working with Cite, I've learned that when it says results are sparse and require careful examination, basically that means that it cannot find any information on the particular topic that you have sought out. However, what it did do was it kind of latched onto the idea of a poet born in 1797 and began to focus on a female poet and the historical and literary context that she might have engaged with. If I move down to the second prompt, what family or social networks might have influenced Anne Webster's literary career movement? Well, here I have an interesting, I guess it points me in the direction of Anne Yearsley, who is a poet who faced a lot of the similar challenges that Anne Webster also experienced during her lifetime. Also, here it mentions a patronage relationship, and additionally that family relationships significantly impacted individuals' careers. Had this been the very first inquiry of my journey, it most definitely could have led me to begin to seek out a patronage relationship for Anne Webster. And for the most part, it would not have taken me long, especially with the Ode to Genius and the Invocation poems. And those guides would have led me here to Sir Thomas Phillips. And so if I click here, you can see a letter that Anne sent to Sir Thomas Phillips at Middle Hill Press. And then additionally, an extra bonus to this particular letter was the fact that it was also signed by her sister, who transcribed every poem in the Grolier Library except for one, which is still a mystery. So I'm still trying to figure out who transcribed that one. And then additionally, if we come over here, I can match that signature with a signature that was on a marriage band. Here, that familial relationship with Mary, in order to actually write down her poems, was also a very important aspect of Anne's literary career. So these are 2 avenues that Cite could have sent a researcher in the early sort of the early aspects of their journey. Now, if I go over here to Perplexity, it immediately goes and points us to Anne Webster, who was a nurse and also a poet. So it's just completely off track. So what I did here is I decided to try to change the prompt up a little bit and see what Perplexity offered. Another thing that this showed me is that Cite is equipped with context retention or context awareness, which means it remembers the information that I wrote up here, that Anne Webster was born in 1797 in Grimsby, England, and then it continued with that, the context awareness. However, Perplexity does not have that context awareness, so I needed to add this information back into the prompt. So once I do add that Anne Webster, born in 1797 in Grimsby, England, was a blind female poet, what family or social networks might have influenced Anne Webster's literary career, we get a much better result as is written here. And so we learn a little bit about the literary climate, local connections. It's a port town, exposed Webster to a variety of people and stories, and her poems are inspired by several people in her town. We have the Robert Cook Moody poems. We have the the Harriet Gummerson connection. So that was an excellent avenue for us to do further research on. Religious influences, we're going to see a bit later on this page how important that was to her. So really, for Perplexity, you have to really make sure that your prompt is strong and that you are asking the correct questions.